Hey, welcome to another episode of Clinic Gym Radio. I think it's the best podcast on the internet. I am your host, Dr. Josh Satterlee, and today it's just me, and I want to talk today about floor plans. Now, before we start there, I want to invite you personally to our Clinic Gym Hybrid Live event, May 21st and 22nd at Parker University. You can find more information at clinicgymhybrid.com/live, Live. And you will see why I think this is going to be the best seminar you take all year. So there are 12 CE credits available, continuing education units for chiropractors. But even more than that, we're going to be talking all about the entire clinic gym model, how to build it, how to grow it, how to train a team, how to get work off your shoulders, and how to get people, your trainers, your CAs, to work on your behalf. You got to have a unified system of rehab. You got to have a unified system of exercise. Everybody's got to be on the same page, but don't worry. We are bringing you in, teaching you an encyclopedia of exercises. And the reason we chose each of those exercises, sometimes it has to do with less space. Sometimes it has to do with less equipment. Sometimes it has to do with the fact that we want you to make more money. But every single one of the things we teach you this weekend are going to be super impactful. So once again, May 21st and 22nd at the beautiful Parker Fit facility on the campus of Parker University in Dallas, Texas. You want more information? Go to clinicgymhybrid.com/live. Love to see you there. We're going to cover the business of rehab, the business of exercise, and how to totally transform the business model in most chiropractic offices, which I think is broken. You can't repair it. It is just, you got to say goodbye. You got to let go. You got to say, hey, it was great while it lasted, but it ain't working anymore. So if you want to find out how to do that, then join us May 21st and 22nd in Dallas, Texas. And with that, let's dive into floor plans. So on this episode, I want to talk about floor plans because I think it's often overlooked as a part of your business model, and overlooking it can create some serious issues. And if you get it right, it allows you to make a whole lot more money. So I also want to cover it because floor plan and the space that you have is basically the number two expense you have. So number one is always people. Employees are always the number one expense. Second to that is usually your mortgage or lease. And so therefore, it's imperative we get it right. So let me start off with some kind of facts. So some of you might be renting a little bit of space. In my career, I've rented a spot that was just under 400 square feet. I've rented a 1,400 square foot office. I've rented a, let me think of the first one, 2,000 square feet. And the clinic gym hybrid I had was just under 5,000 square feet. For most people listening, I think we should start by talking about a 1,500 square foot space. Now, why 1,500 square feet? Well, if you go across the country and you look at most strip malls, 1,500, they're usually broken up into 1,500 square foot spaces and derivatives of that. So 3,000, 4,500, blah, 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 blah. So I think it's very easy to find a 1,500 square foot space. If I were going back and starting a clinic gym hybrid today, I would rent a 1,500 square foot space. I would keep, and I always say you want to have the 1/3, 2/3 rule. 2/3 of that space at least should be the gym. 1/3 should be the clinic, waiting room, and bathroom if it's necessary or it's in your space. If there's a common bathroom down the hall, totally cool as well. Now, why do I like this? From an operational standpoint, I think it's interesting. Most of what we do can be done in open space. And my friend Jason Glass always said the most important training tool you can ever have is open space. With open space, you can do anything. So if you think about it, most of your clients probably would be okay being adjusted, having muscle work, getting dry needling, doing rehab out in an open floor gym setup, right? So you might want to have that 1,000 square feet and over on the wall have a couple treatment tables. I think that's a fantastic way of using it. And it also shows everybody in the gym that, hey, there's another level of expertise here in the clinic, and I can get that clinic treatment as well. I think that's very important to constantly be selling that service. Now, I always recommend having at least one private exam room because that private exam room allows you to do histories, talk about finances, and every once in a while you're going to need to, say, do dry needling on someone's glutes and you need to expose their butt. Maybe, some people don't want to have, some women won't want to have their back treated out in the open if they have to lift up their shirt. Totally fine. And those things happen in a clinic, but just having that private space is good. If you have the space, it's always great to have a private area for your trainers as well. Give them a little area to chillax and kind of collect themselves, write programs, handle different aspects of patient care. That is perfect. But in 1,500 square feet, you got to use every square foot to to your advantage. So that takes me to another thing about that 1,000 square feet. Magic happens at that 1,000 square feet of gym space, and that's a total of 1,500 square feet in total rented space. Now, hopefully, it's open with no no columns in the middle taking up floor space, and it has a high enough ceiling. 12-foot ceilings are actually optimal. Gives it an open feeling without feeling claustrophobic or anything. I know that a lot of people in this group have done or use this model in a lot smaller space, but I think that 1,500 square foot is awesome. So furthermore, 1,000 square feet. Here's the math on that. As a general rule, when you're running classes, and I think small group fitness classes led by a very experienced and knowledgeable coach are the best way to make serious money in the clinic gym hybrid model. That's what you can sell your memberships into, is these class-based training sessions. So it's like personal training in a group setting. Why do we want to sell that? Let me cover the whys of why we like 4-person classes. Number one, 4 people allows that smart trainer to adjust every person's exercise to be specific to them that day. Whatever their aches and pains are, whatever their injury they're coming off of, if they just came from the clinic or if they have a special event they're training for, we can adjust every exercise to personally fit that person on that day. Why is that important? Because the thing we sell in the clinic gym hybrid model is expertise. That's what we sell. We don't sell space. We don't sell equipment. We don't sell, hey, we have more hot tubs than the next guy down. We have more space than 24-hour fitness. No, we don't. We won't ever have that. But what does 24-hour fitness not have? Expertise. So sell expertise. Small group classes allow you to do that. If you have 20, 25, 30, 40 people coming in, you just can't demonstrate expertise with one coach. So why else that 1,000 square foot space in that 1/3, 2/3 ratio? Well, it's for this. When you're operating in those small group classes, it's good to have 75 to 100 square feet per person in the class. So let's just say 100 square feet per person. You have a 4-person class. You would need 400 square feet. But what we're going to talk about today is that floor plan that would allow you to run a second class at the same time, because it's not like every hour of the day has an equal opportunity for people coming into classes. Everyone who owns a gym will tell you they're busy in the morning, they're busy in the afternoon/evening, and maybe, if you're lucky and your area is the right, you'll have a surge at noon or lunchtime. But at 10 a.m., they're pretty wide open. At 2 p.m., they're pretty wide open. So you need to make the most out of the hours that people want to be there. Now, things have certainly shifted after all the changes with COVID, and it's a little bit more spread out throughout the day, but you're still going to see, especially that morning crowd, people want to work out at 5:30, 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, and then it kind of drops off a cliff. So having that 1,000 square feet allows you to have a 4-person class that started at, say, 6 a.m., and we want another 400 square feet that will allow us to have a second class backing them up that starts at 6:30 a.m. So we have a 6 a.m., a 6:30 a.m. In a small space like that, you can run classes every half hour if you have it set up correctly. If you don't have it set up correctly, it's going to be a nightmare. It's dumb, and it's going to be tough. Now, 4 people plus 4 people is 8 people times 100 square feet gets us to 800. What's the rest of the 200 square feet? Well, at any point, you can have a couple patients getting some one-on-one rehab, or people in the gym doing one-on-one training. So they're paying a higher level of membership to get one-on-one training, but they get to be surrounded by a bunch of other people who are active, who are hollering, screaming, high-fiving each other, hitting PRs, and all the great aspects of a gym. So that 1,000 square feet is about perfect. And we're also accounting for, equipment will take a little bit of space off of the footprint of equipment does take some square footage off of that. So that 1,000 will really be more like 900 after you add all your equipment in, and it takes up space. Do everything you can to get everything off the floor. And we'll talk a little bit about organizing the space. So Why is this so important? Well, your exercises that you do have to match your program, and your program has to match your business model, and your business model has to match the flow of your facility, and the flow of your facility has to serve the patients and clients in their goals, and those goals have to be in line with your exercises. So there's all these aspects that have to kind of come together for this to work. And so when we put together our program, we can use our program to dictate how our floor plan should be set up. And we can say, funny enough, that our floor plan or this episode is brought to us by the letter U. I know if you ever watch Sesame Street, they'd always talk about this episode is brought to you by the letter R, right? So the letter U. U is the best shape of a floor plan or the best flow of a floor plan, and I'll tell you why. So in our program, we recommend a start. So number one, you're going to start with soft tissue, which might be foam rolling, stick work, mobility, whatever. Then everybody's going to move into the warm-up or neurological prep, right? Where you do ladder drills or different aspects like that. Then they're going to move into, if you have time, that explosive plyometric area. Then they go to strength exercises 1. Then they go to strength exercise station 2. Then they go to cardio. And then they finish with a group photo and a high five. Cool. So the setup of your facility should flow that way. So just starting out at the tip of one of the halves of the U, if every class starts with a soft tissue prep, let's just use foam rollers as an example. If you're a foam roller hater, send me an email. You and I can get into a battle. But if you're a foam roller hater, you must also hate afferent signals to the motor control system, like, raphidian corpuscles and mechanoreceptors and Golgi tendon organs. But anyways, I digress. So if it starts with soft tissue, let's have a setup where soft tissue always happens in the same area. We don't want people randomly spread out throughout the entire space, but we instead want them in a very specific area where also the foam rollers, the sticks, the lacrosse balls are all right there, right? Typically, we want people getting on the ground for this, so it'd be good to have like turf or some sort of softer surface. People really like that, but I'll get into flooring in a second. Have that area for soft tissue. Then when you move to the next station, that soft tissue prep will last about 10 minutes. And we move to the next station, which is warm up and or range of motion exercises. So maybe this is mini band work. Maybe this is open warm up where you have people getting into different positions. Maybe we want to warm up their neurological system so you have them play games, maybe tossing tennis balls against the wall or, doing what I call Hogger House, which is like a partner band warm up where you're standing one leg, then the other, trying to pull over you have a band going between you and another person, and you're trying to pull that person off balance. Anyways, these are all great prep things. So that can be a station that has all that equipment or open space to do it. So we move from soft tissue prep to that neurological warm-up, and then they're going to move over to their plyometric station. So that might be where you have boxes for box jumps. That might be where you have ladders, right? It might be where you have medicine balls for side tosses and ball slams and things like that. We do that kind of warm-up. Now you should be, if you're following that U shape, you should now be at the first corner where the side of the U turns into the bottom of the U. I think that's the best place for strength station 1. So in our workouts, we typically do 2 strength stations. Each strength station has a few different exercises, usually 3. So you want them to do strength station 1. That could be, say, squat racks. So you have your squat racks. Your big bar power movements are done in that first strength station. That's the bottom of the U. It's all in that area. Then they're going to move to the other side of the U, which will be our second strength station. And maybe this is more dumbbells and kettlebells, right? And so we do our exercises there. And then finally, they end up at the top of the opposite side of the U, which would be our cardio station. That's where you'd have your air bikes, your battle ropes, your ski ergs, your rowers, all clustered in that area depending on the day and what we're doing that day. And so it allows you to flow through that U every time. People are not crossing or trying to swim upstream to do exercises. It always goes in that flow. It always allows us to have plenty of space for everybody. And if we just add up the time-wise, cardio plus strength 1 and strength 2, aka the second half of the workout, should be about 25 to 30 minutes. And soft tissue, neurological, plyometric should be about 30 minutes as well, 25 to 30 minutes. If I were going to reduce any, it's that warm-up. I'd shorten the warm-up to make sure they have plenty of time on the strength side. Anyways, 25 minutes on the first half, 30 minutes on the second half. That allows another class to start every 30 minutes, right? Because that first area will be cleared out every 30 minutes. That allows you to do a good job of having a class at, I would just give you common times, 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., 7 a.m., and maybe 7:30. And allow you to do that 55-minute small group personalized training that will be the most profitable and most exciting for them to do. So that you is really important. Now let's talk about the you in your first year. I would say that as a general rule, no one I've ever met keeps the same floor plan they opened with on day one. You realize that certain equipment should be in different places. You realize that maybe you want to have an open wall. I would say, again, open space, and especially open walls where you can bounce medicine balls off of, are at a premium, and most people overlook that. Anyway, so if you're in your first year, my suggestion is always this: keep it simple, find your open space for your 1,000 square feet of gym, and the only flooring you should have is what's called rolled rubber flooring. I would have it about half an inch thick. I think rolled rubber flooring is way, multiple times, significantly, way more better than horse stall mats. Horse stall mats are not square, so you get cracks of varying sizes. The surface is tough to clean. They're solid black. I like rolled rubber flooring when it has a little bit of color in it because it hides the dirt well, and people don't realize that, hey, how dirty it is. Stall mats are notoriously look dirty. So I would just tell you that rolled rubber flooring, half an inch to 3/4 of an inch, is a better setup than horse stall mats. Okay. I will also tell you this: I've had 2 people now who tell me that the fire inspector in their area said no to indoor horse stall mats that they got from Tractor Supply or wherever because they're not fire rated. So that means they don't have a fire rating as an indoor product. So take that as you will. I like rolled rubber flooring. It's typically cheaper. It's about 2/3 of the price of horse stall mats as well. So I'd highly recommend it. Anyways, I'd use that rolled rubber flooring and just have a sea of it and allow yourself to set up, the flow. Second thing I would do, I would take that and I would keep that rolled rubber flooring, and I would use like blue painter's tape, and I would create boxes of where certain stations are. So my soft tissue box, I would box it out with blue painter's tape. Why? Because it's not permanent. It can change at any point, and you can always modify, come in over the weekend, pull up the painter's tape and move it down, make the box wider, shorter, longer, taller, whatever. And it also allows you to mark out where you want certain things to go. So if you have a rack of foam rollers, cool. It allows you to find that and designate that area for it. I think it's worth going through that floor plan the first year, at least quarterly, with your trainers and your coaching staff, and say, like, is everything set up well? I would wait until after the first year to even think about buying turf, because that division of turf makes it more of a permanent thing, and you want to make sure you know exactly where that turf should go. Second thing, that turf relegates that. The only reason to get turf really is either for soft tissue prep or more likely for sled work. Well, sled work's only important if you have enough length of that turf to do that sled work. So if you just don't have the right length or anything, then forget the turf. The rolled rubber flooring will be much better. So that's how you do it. A couple other things that I'd recommend. Remember, we talked about a U. Most of the time, people make the mistake of setting up the U incorrectly. A good way to keep that flow and a good way to divide the U is to take your dumbbell racks and kettlebell racks, and instead of having them against the walls, put them in the center of the room. That will be the center of your U. And if they face one direction, it tells everybody, hey, these are used for this station, aka strength 2 station, right? It allows you to divide the space and create that flow along the outside of that. What most people do inherently is they put the dumbbell racks up against the wall facing in. That's the opposite of what should actually occur. You should put them in the center of the room facing the direction you want to create that station. Do that, and then use the blue painter's tape to create strength station 1, strength station 2. You'll have a much more efficient use of space. So I highly recommend doing that. So we could do a webinar all about this if you guys want. Just send me an email and tell me, hey, I want to see this visually with some feedback. But I think that's the best way to set it up, is that you start out with all rolled rubber flooring with a little bit of color. So if you look at like Perform Better or something like that, it has a little speckled, you can get it with blue specks or white specks or red specks, whatever it is. That's just to visually distract you. Visually distract you from seeing the little bits of dirt and little things that pile up in that sense. But the other thing you can do if you have rolled rubber flooring, by the way, is it's a seamless surface. So it works really good to have the number one tool in a small gym like this, which everybody overlooks. And that is a Roomba or an automated vacuum. I think if you just set a vacuum to go off every night while you're gone, your gym can never be too clean. It just can't. And if you look at all the surveys of large organizations who poll all their members, cleanliness, organization, those things are always at the top of why do I come back to this gym? Why do I pay a premium membership? You will never find a premium gym, a country club, Lifetime Fitness, Equinox, none of those that don't have aggressive cleaning procedures. So I would just say you can never be too clean. So with that, think about your floor plan. Finally, I hope you know, I always preach on this podcast about my hatred of squat racks. It's not really that I hate them. It's just in a small gym, I think that they take up too much space and they're useless. If that 1,000 square feet has dumbbell, kettlebell racks in the middle, maybe even medicine ball racks in the middle, and doesn't have squat racks, I'm just going to tell you end up with a whole lot more square feet as a net result. And that's better. Use every inch of that sucker to make more money. That'd be my suggestion. So I hope those tips are useful. Use the letter U, have a flow of things, play with your floor plan multiple times. You'll realize like where people, for example, where should you put your cubby? The cubby for people's shoes and bags and phones and everything should obviously be towards the front of the room, the top of the U, where they start, right? But you don't want to have it in an area where when they go to get their stuff at the end of class, they have to cross over another class's stuff. So how do you do that? These are all the fun things you get to figure out as a gym owner. Also, cleaning is always tough. Cleaning foam rollers, cleaning the floor, cleaning the walls. It's just a big cleaning session, but it's always worth it. And keeping it looking good is very important and helps you make more money. And play with your floor plan. I can't stress that enough. You'll be surprised that when you just move kettlebell racks and dumbbell racks to certain areas, or you build squares, just the tape on the ground gets people's minds in the right place. Last story I'll share. There was a study done in Texas where they had a strip of highway is like 10 miles long, and they threw a bunch of drivers on there before they painted lines. And you would think that people would go fast and crazy. In fact, they were scared to go fast. So the average speed was something like 35, 40 miles an hour. As soon as they went back and painted lines and threw random drivers on there, the average speed jumped up to like 70 miles an hour. All because there's just paint on the asphalt. Doesn't stop any from getting in an accident. Doesn't stop anybody from going off the road or anything. The paint just provides a visual cue, does not provide any safety measure, but people felt more confident to go faster. Providing that, using the tape as a visual cue for your people to say, hey, this is strength station number 1, this is strength station number 2, will go a long way to increase the flow of your gym and increase the flow of classes so that you can get more people in there and you can make more money in the same amount of time. And you can have more members, which is really the business you want to be in, is memberships. So with that, I hope that's useful. If you have any questions about this, go ahead and email me, Josh@Clinic Gym Hybrid. I am always happy to answer those questions. And once again, I would love to invite you to our live event, May 21st and 22nd at Parker University in Dallas, Texas. We're going to cover everything about everything I've talked about: floor plans, exercises, programming, putting together the business model, switching from a time for money model to a membership model. All those things will be covered in our live event, both the business plan, the exercises, and research supporting the exercise themselves. So if you're interested, go to clinicgymhybrid.com/live. Once again, that's clinicgymhybrid.com/live. And if you're listening this far and you want a discount code, email me. I might be able to throw one your way. if you sign up. So with that, I will sign off by, as I always do, saying thanks for listening, and go out there, maximize your license, and live the life you dream of. Thanks a lot. Thanks so much for checking out these videos. I hope they're useful. We'll cover things like rehab, exercise, business model, progressions, layout, everything else that helps you build a clinic. So if you're interested, you can click here, there, here, or anywhere to get more videos just like this. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you soon.